Hey everybody, welcome to Slamfire Rip. No. Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to Slamfire Radio, episode 399. I'm just going forward for April 8th, 2021. I'm one of your hosts, Kelly.
I'm one Adriel.
And I am random interfering with Kelly Dave. Hello, everybody.
Great job at it.
Hey, Dave's here. It's great to see you, Dave. We've missed you.
Thank you. Brian Bolivar actually posted a thing on Facebook, which was post the first photo of something that makes you happy. And I thought of my photo of all of us in Alberta, and I'm like, you know what? That makes me happy. I need to come more.
Yeah, seriously, that's one of my most favorite get-togethers of us. All of us.
Agreed. That was an amazing weekend.
20 of us in the Airbnb.
Glad the guy who owned the building didn't come by. And,
He did actually.
Did he?
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Anyway, and then we went and climbed the hoodoos. It was fun.
We did. We climbed. I still have my rocks. They're actually. I moved them. I do. I stole rocks from Alberta. Steal your natural resources. I don't know where they are right now, but I have rocks from the top of that hoodoo mountain.
The rest of the country usually steals our natural resources, or at least the money from it. Yeah.
I'm from Ontario. I'm just stealing your stuff. So,
Not that much. Not that much. You guys are mostly self-sufficient.
That's true.
All right. Let's get into what we did in guns this week. What we did in guns this week is brought to you by the Calgary Shooting Center. It's Canada's premier firearm retailer. Right now, they got the Benelli M1, MR1, sorry, not M1. Duh.
MR1. It's like a 223 thing.
It's 223. Let's see.
So hideous.
Do you want to bring it up? It is a little hid, but it's also
non-restricted and it's available.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And they work well. I know a few people that have them. They seem to be very fussy about ammunition, but once you get them dialed in, they seem to be pretty good.
Right. And they'll run the 223, which is a little cheaper, and also they're $2,300.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So go over to the Calgary Shooting Center. Say hi to Jeff for me, or us.
And they only have 3 left in stock, so you better get on that.
Yeah.
They will not have that many for long.
Nope.
So since Dave is joining us for the first time in a long time, Dave, what have you done in guns forever?
Not a whole lot, because I've been able to get out to the ranges, but I did find a used BX trigger set up for my 1022. So I'm slowly building my gray birch 1022. It's all put together, but I cannibalized my stainless steel 1022, so it's kind of weird. So I'm slowly finding parts and then adding it to it. So I got a BX trigger for it, so I'm going to see how that runs.
Sweet.
And awesome. I ordered 6 pack of magazines, so I now have a crap ton of 1022 magazines. So next Maple Seed, unless I shoot it with my Tavor, I'm gonna shoot it with my Tavor. But
yeah, you're gonna shoot it with the Tavor.
Totally shoot it with the Tavor.
Totally.
Yeah. I'll bring the 1023 back up in case somebody else needs it.
Because it's the only time
20 magazines.
Do shoot it, so why not?
That's true. And another decision I made is that I need to find there's a few places sort of out here where I can actually, so I'm not friends with any farmers out here at the moment. I need to find a place I can just go shoot my non-restricted. So I'm going to find a place of provincial park that's labeled for hunting and find a spot I can go out a couple times a week and just blink.
Mm-hmm. What about driving even just a little bit more north of you? Crownland?
North of me is lake. So
well, I know, but okay.
Go out into the lake. Is that international waters if I'm a couple miles offshore in Georgian Bay?
Sure.
Just do what I want. Set up buoys and shoot at those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta look around and see what's around to shoot. And get out and shoot. There's a gun club up in Meaford. A buddy of mine invited me to a match in May, which I may or may not go to, but I may join up there because that's closer to me than my other clubs.
Yeah, it is pretty close to you. You should go and join.
Yeah, I think I might. I know a few people up there, and they seem like a good bunch. They're starting to do.
They're half decent
more
people.
Action shooting stuff.
I know some people there too. Yeah,
yeah they seem.
They're good people.
Yeah,
Terry and Greg. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Anyways.
they seem all right. So
Yeah.
I may join up there. We'll see, but I'm just keeping pretty close to home and not doing a whole lot right now.
I think we all are, especially since there's a stay-at-home order. Not really laughing at that. I'm just saying.
So much traffic out there today. I think people are just sick of it. They're just like, F you. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Your car could be your home.
True.
It could be. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or you could be at work or exercise or any of the other billion excuses, and the cops aren't doing anything about it one way or another. So.
Traveling to get groceries.
Yeah. In Minising or Ottawa.
Well, it does talk. Anyways, why are we talking about the stay-at-home order?
I don't know. You brought it up.
I know. I was stupid.
Why are we doing it? Says the host when I'm the one who brought it up. Anyway.
All right.
What have you been doing, Kelly?
I've been actually at home for the past couple of weeks, and one of the things that I have been doing means I can concentrate more on Project Maple Seed. So we were able to release some events, and we're going to be releasing some more tonight as well.
Nice.
And the other thing that we've been doing is getting the CCFR Gunny Girl calendar. We're doing some plans for that, and we've done the call out for that. And oh, by the way, deadline. Everybody's asking about the deadline. So the deadline for the CCFR Gunny Girl calendar call out is April 30th. You can send me a message here at Slimefire, or you can do it through my personal page, or you can send us an email at slimefireradio@gmail.com if you want some information on that, or you can actually go to the CCFR website. Facebook page. All the information is on there too, or on my Facebook page. And so if you want to participate in it, or if you know somebody who wants to participate in it.
I want to participate in it.
Yeah, Dave. No, I've seen you in your underwear. Remember?
So I've already done my tryout.
The best time ever when 20 people were, at the Airbnb in Alberta. Just don't. Yeah.
I have no shame.
I walked into a room. Oh, there's Dave in his underwear.
Hi, Kelly. I'd been standing there for like half an hour waiting for you to walk in. So you got to be quicker.
See anything you like?
Wink. And it turned out the answer was no, and she stopped out. So very disappointing.
Immediately out.
That's what she said.
My God.
And Trevor did the same thing. So I just haven't known.
He walked in on you?
I did no luck. Very disappointing.
All right. Wow. You were trolling. Okay. The other thing that also happened, it just happened last night. Finally heard from the person that's doing the Black Badge course for FRPC, which is my local range. Anyways, so I got an email from it last night, and he's just basically confirmed, sent all the information for it, all the study material, et cetera, et cetera.
Nice.
So maybe
get your IPSC on.
Get your IPSC on. Yeah, the Black Badge course. So I'm officially in. Yeah, baby.
Nice.
So that's that. And yeah, that's about it. So Adriel, what about you? Oh, one thing that I have been doing. I told Adriel about this, by the way. I can't sleep at night, so I've been putting on Adriel's videos and watching those. He's been putting me to sleep.
Aww.
A very soothing voice. And not boring, soothing.
Yes, exactly.
I haven't watched the last few. Have the kids been editing more? Because your kids edited however they wanted was freaking awesome.
The next one that's coming out is Sonic.
Oh goodness, I'm gonna have to watch that.
Nice.
Okay, so Adriel, what have you been doing? You've been putting out some videos because I've been watching them.
I've been putting out some videos. I have got a couple things in. Well, okay, let's start with the weekend.
Okay.
We had a construction day at Chaz, so we built a bunch of props and fixed some stuff for our 3-gun matches. That went well. Built a whole bunch more dump sleds, which is kind of like your staging table for your guns or whatever. And then some walls and, I don't know, repaired a bunch of stuff and yada, yada, yada. After that, I went and shot the FX9, and I wanted to get more footage of it shooting. As well, I wanted to check what kind of speeds I got out of it, depending on the different kind of round that I shot out of it. So I tried some like 147, some 124, some 115. Oh, last time I had it out, it was just a piece of crap. Oh, just terrible. So I did this little mod where like shaved this piece of the bolt face, which you don't need to do on the new ones. The old ones you do though. And I oiled the heck out of it, and it did run better. I still got the old a couple like death jam where what the case didn't quite eject and it went forward, and so did the other one, and they both try to get into the chamber at the same time. Still got a couple of those with brass case, and then I ran out of my brass case stuff. And I'm like, I'll run the aluminum case stuff. How bad could it be? And the answer is, well, it could be. So that little guy got left behind on one round, and then the next one went in, and I'm like, looks chambered.
Didn't feel right. Did it not feel right though? It's kind of that.
I might have pulled my one hand like behind the action to fire it off, and something was wrong. Yeah, so it wasn't fully chambered, and because the FX9 allows access to the firing pin, even if it's not fully chambered, you can get one of these. This is a case from an out of battery detonation, which sounds really bad, but in real life it wasn't that bad. Sprayed some shit out the side. The worst thing it did was leave a bullet in the barrel, which I then had to take home because I didn't have, you need a brass rod for that kind of thing to knock one of those guys out, which I have at home, but not at the range. So had to do that. And I think I talked with Trevor, and he was saying that he had the same thing, which is this case failure, but with brass, with a brass case. So I think what that means, I was taking a look at the different components inside that FX9. I think the bolt is too light. So there's two problems here. One, it allows the firing pin to be accessed out of battery, which is a design flaw. It shouldn't allow that. But the other thing it does, I think the bolt is just too light. And with a straight blowback action, the weight of your bolt needs to be enough to hold that case in place until the pressure is lower, so that the case can start coming out. And if you don't do that, what happens is it's still grabbing on that front really tight because there's lots of pressure in there, and it's also ripping it backwards, and it rips.
And it splits.
It splits the case in half. So I think that's why they say don't use aluminum in it, because it's too violent of an action to allow for aluminum case usage. But really the fix is use a heavier. You could change your buffer, I guess. You could change your buffer weight to something a little bit heavier. Maybe they don't because of I'm just guessing a lot of this stuff, but maybe they don't because of the recoil spring. They just want to use a standard AR recoil spring, right? So lots of guessing, but long story short, don't use aluminum cases in that thing. And I still got jams even with the brass cases.
I'm thinking that maybe the answer is I buy a better gun.
Some people have really good luck with them.
Better?
Some people have really good luck with them. I have not had very good luck with this one. And I can't say I would recommend it over like some of the other PCCs that are out there. Like the Ruger PCC is not quite as ergonomic and go fast as the FX9, but it would never have these kinds of issues. Like Ruger would never stand for that kind of crap in their guns. So
I've shot a few of those. They were ugly, but they really worked well.
Yeah, they're ugly, and like the usability of it isn't fantastic, but it runs, and it's they're fairly lightweight until you get the AR. Anyways, that's Ruger PC9. Shot the SKSs. The thing I wanted to find out, is there a point in putting a scope on an SKS?
Mm-hmm.
So I have. I
really enjoyed that video.
I haven't put that one out yet. I put up the tech site one. I put a tech site. I'm working on another one.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. I did another one because I wanted to see. Okay, tech site, fantastic. A little bit more accurate than your standard rear end sight. Makes a little bit of a difference on the SKS just because the sight radius and the way that the original sights are. But SKSs aren't very accurate to begin with. You're shooting steel case surplus out. So what's it look like when you I put a 6-24 scope on one of them, and the other one got tech sights. You'd be real hard pressed to tell the difference between the two of them. You'd really be hard pressed. And it's just because SKSs are not that great and the rounds aren't that great. Most of them are 3 to 5 MOA. So whether you're 1 MOA with that scope or a half MOA with the scope, or whether you're, 1.5 or 2 with the iron sights, doesn't really make a difference. Doesn't really make a difference. And that SKS, I tried a bunch of different ammo types. I tried corrosive, non-corrosive, commercial, Meh. They're all kind of bad.
All the same.
They're all kind of bad. It's an SKS. It was really frustrating using a scope cranked up to 24x and squeezing that shot off and be like, boop, you mother. I put you right there. You should be there, not over here. Oh, and then I was doing 10-round groups. And as the barrels heated up on the SKS 15, it would start veering right about 6 inches as it started heating up over those 10 rounds.
You should go back to Simonov and complain about his $150 cheapy battle rifle and how crappy it is.
When did this thing came out? It wasn't a cheapy battle rifle, but
that's true.
Yeah. Anyways, so
it's an SKS.
Yeah. Long story short,
we
just use the irons, and I wouldn't bother with a scope on it unless your eyes are bad. If your eyes are bad, then you got to go to a scope or a red dot or something like that.
What sort of mount did you use?
It is integral to the SKS 15. It's built into the whole shebang because it's
built onto the dust cover.
No.
Oh, it's the one where it comes up and over it.
It replaces the whole thing. So you stick your barreled action into this chassis. It secures on the rear receiver pin and on the front. I'll send you a picture of it stripped down, and you'll see what it looks like.
Is that the Kodiak Scorpio?
Yes.
Oh, dear Lord.
Real pain in the ass to clean. If you get one of these things, shoot non-corrosive ammo out of it. It's available. It's not that expensive. Don't shoot corrosive out of it because it is gobstoppingly hard to
looks very difficult to take apart,
especially compared to the standard SKS.
Yeah.
And then I noticed on CGN that Maple Ridge Army said that the Mavericks are shipping. And I put that note in the show notes here. And then Bullseye called me just this afternoon and hey, here, Mavericks in. Would you like to pay your remaining? Because I just did a pre-order with them. So I did that. And then at the same time, I'm oh, you know what I'd really like to get is some Sig mags. And I need some Sig mags because I got some, well, not Sig guns, but kind of Sig-ish guns. This is a Norinco NP22. This is the Sig P226 version. This one's not factory. This one's got a whole bunch of Go Fast parts that the previous owner put on it. He put on the Sig E2 grips, which is kind of more like a Shadow 2 kind of a grip to it. It actually puts your hand higher up on the grip. And if you wanted to see a comparison, there's an MP34.
Yeah.
On this one, your hand is quite a bit lower. If you want to know, the MP34, shorter slide. You still got the barrel sticking out the end anyways because we're in Canada and there's rules and stuff. The grip's also shorter. And if I reloaded this thing too quickly on the move, I would pinch the shit out of my pinky, just jamming that thing in there. I can feel it right now. It would just pinch right there. So you'd have to do pinkies out when you reload with this thing.
British reload.
Yeah. So long story short, if you're just doing it for competition, I would get the MP22. The grip is it's a little bit bigger. The slide's longer. You've got some distance there that's different in terms of the slide length. And again, for competition, heavier, longer is generally better. Yeah. Although I don't know, these aren't a fantastic competition pistol either. They're just I don't know. It's an old design. Here, let me piss some people off, just like I piss people off about the Berettas and my hate for them. This is a 40-year-old design, this pistol. Yeah. There's some cool things about it, like the decocker and the fact that there's no safety is on it. Oh, I love it. Oh yeah, decock. It's safe now. It's got this one's got a 12-pound 2-stage trigger, so yeah, it's safe. You can carry it with that. It's not going to go off. Single action is 4 or 5 pounds, a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
I like that. That's kind of interesting. But the trigger pull is not as good as some of the other guns out there. The weight of them, it's a metal frame, but it's just aluminum. So it's not quite as heavy as your Shadows and that kind of a thing. And then the grip and where the bore is, the bore over grip is quite high. The Sig 226 style pistol, it is the highest out of any common pistol.
That's why I hate those things so much.
Yeah, they're just they buck quite a bit when you fire them there, because you got that rotation, that torque coming from the top here, and there's just not a lot of meat behind it to stop it. They're in 9mm, so it doesn't matter that much. But if you're shooting IPSC, matters a little bit. I don't know. So other things that are kind of interesting, because the grip size is different. The mags kind of fit, so you can take the short gun, the MP34, and you can put the MP22 mag in there. It'll work. It looks dumb, but it'll work.
Wouldn't pinch your pinky.
Correct. Yeah. You can't do the other way. It just doesn't go far enough in there.
Yeah.
So.
Hit it.
Hit it.
Hit it harder.
Hit it harder. Yeah. I don't know. So you could put a bunch of SIG parts in it. This one's got like, I don't know, SIG hammer, SIG, takedown lever, release, yada, 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 a whole bunch of stuff in it. It's got a marginally better trigger pull on it. The decocker is a little bit nicer. So you press the decocker down on this one. It actually holds the hammer back and you can slowly let it forward. Whereas on this one, it's more of like you pressed it, it's going forward. It's not going to fire, but it's kind of like I don't know, less nice. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter.
What did those cost you?
A pittance.
Fortune.
So
like 300 each, kind of a thing.
So whatever, as opposed to 1,300 or whatever they are new. So.
I think the 226s are right around $1,000 to pick one of those things up, depending if you get used or whatever. Which is quite a bit for what they are. Like if you were to get like if you wanted to get a good shooting pistol, also by SIG, the 320 P320 X5. Great shooting pistol, not 40-year-old technology, 10-year-old technology, 5-year-old technology, a lot better. So work. I haven't got out to the range with them just yet, but I published an article just because I did like a crap ton of research on them, and it's already long enough where I kind of think I'd just rather share it with people. So I put that out. I'll update it once I've got out and shot. I'd like to shoot a couple of matches with these things, ideally, just to prove like can you do it? Because I shot a match with the Gersan MC28, and like it didn't feel very good compared to my Shadow, but it worked.
Yeah.
I think this one's got a 4-pound trigger pull. It's a heavier gun. It should be better to shoot than the MC28, right?
Mm-hmm. No.
First trigger pull will suck, but after that should be fine.
Yeah.
Is this like a project you have going on to shoot competitions with just the crappiest guns you can possibly find and see how you make out?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
To be real,
like it.
yes.
Yeah. Well, I put out an article on like the cheapest handguns in Canada, and part of this is when I actually like shoot it at a match, like does it survive a match? Do I run across like horrific problems? So I ordered some SIG mags because apparently the SIG mags don't fit the Norks, and my Dremel is going to find out what it takes to make them fit the Nork guns, and then I'll share it with everyone, and then everyone will know how to make that happen.
Nice.
So I'm gonna do that. I'm still waiting on my reg certs for like everything. So I got that Terra TM9 on the 7th. Still no reg cert. It's been a month. What the hey?
Yeah,
I just assume
Ontario, that would not be unusual.
But I suppose I'm being like the mail comes from Miramichi, right? For the reg certs. This can't be an Alberta thing. This has to be some sort of federal government thing for it to be this bad.
Probably.
Yeah.
It has to be. It has to be from Miramichi or something like that. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe they don't have the printers. Maybe the person who's supposed to do the printing is like on extended holidays, and they can't hire another person because they're union or some stupid bullshit reason why I can't get a reg cert in a month.
Of course, they're union.
And they changed it so you can't take you can't use the transfer notification, which has the registration number on it. You can't use that to go to the range. You can just use your reg cert. So I'm waiting on a fucking card so I can go to the range.
Yep.
A, that's insane. And B, why do I get the transfer and then I get the registration later when the transfer has the registration number on it? Why don't they arrive in the same envelope?
Hey, it's 2021. Why don't you just email that shit to me? I'll print it. I'll print them all on one piece of paper. Oh, it'll be great. And I'll just like put it in a binder. That's my take to the range binder.
Go green.
Or attach it to my card.
And you're good.
What about attaching it to my card, guys? It's all digital anyways. No, let's not do that. That's dangerous. What if I was in the middle of nowhere with my handgun and the cop's like, oh, I don't know if this is legit or not. Another made up scenarios that the government likes to think up of. Anyways, so I'm still waiting on reg certs. I'd like
You're starting to sound like Trevor, I'm
just a little bit grumpy about like not getting my reg certs on these because I've been sitting on them. I've been going to the range every weekend and I have to leave these super cheap crappy pistols at home and I want to shoot them.
At home. Yeah.
See, that's one thing with learning about firearms and learning about our regulations. They start to make you, everybody I know who does this, it starts to make you pretty dismissive of the laws in general because you start to realize how much of them are bullshit. Yeah. And then you wonder, I wonder what laws that I don't know about that are also bullshit. And then you find out that the answer is, well, most of them actually.
All of them. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Those other ones that sounded really good when you heard the politician talk about them, they're bullshit.
Yeah, or that law already existed, but this one you got to
anyways,
I need to get this train wreck back up. Okay, so anyways,
thanks. Yeah,
hi,
host. Thank you. So video, I put out some videos on Laser Academy tech sites. The Magneto Speed one is going to go out tonight. I've got videos on these pistols. I got to put out the Terra TM9. I'd like to go to the range so I can get some few hundred rounds through it.
Well, the RCMP is listening, so maybe you guys, Miramichi, could get your asses in gear. So
please put it in the mail.
Go shoot his gun. So
I know
pass that on.
Sitting on the counter. You guys have just been like avoiding it. Put it in the mail, please. Put a stamp on it. Working on SKS optics versus irons. Is there a point in putting optics on? Spoiler: no. Unless you've got like eye problems, no, doesn't matter. And then I've got a tech site TS100 that's coming from the States eventually, someday.
Yeah.
And I'll do that one. That's the same thing as the TS200, except it's got a little flippy thing on the back.
Cool. And you'll do the difference between the two.
I will do that thing. It will be a video. And I told Rick from Bullseye he should carry those tech sites because we don't really have them in Canada. There's,
I'm looking at the image. You actually found a way to make SKSs uglier.
Yeah, it does make them a little bit uglier. They can get uglier. There are uglier SKSs out there. Anyways, I would love to shoot my cheapo pistols. Sherwood Park's doing like Thursday night practices with like pistols and stuff like that. I want to go to more of those and bring some cheap crappy guns and shoot them there.
Thursday is my black patch practice as well. We might have to change the day that we do.
Listeners, we might have to change. Our viewers might have to change when we record these things.
You bet.
So we can get some more shooting in. And then I gotta do some Maple Seed stuff. I gotta get some events going. I got some events. We're locked down a little bit here in Alberta. I don't know. You wouldn't think it. You wouldn't think it's the way that we act, but we've actually got the highest active case count in Canada.
Number one.
We gotta win, and yeah, we can still do 10-person events. So
we can.
Yeah.
Anyways,
that's it for me.
All right, let's go into upcoming events. Upcoming events is sponsored by Telos Alpha. It's Canada's digital agency that works exclusively with firearms vertical. They help with business processes, strategic planning, websites, e-commerce, and battling the stigma that the industry carries with banks, merchant processors, and social media. Those damn Facebook people. Anyways, check out telosalpha.com. Check them out. We don't have anything listed in the upcoming events. If anybody does have an upcoming event, just send it to our slamfireradio@gmail.com. We'll put it in here and we'll talk about it a little bit. We do have some news that is happening, though. Let's talk about the CCFR Legal Fund donations, Legal Challenge Fund donations. So we got, like, the first one is, like, Oh my God. So Sask Rivers chapter, or SCI, they donated $17,500 to the legal challenge. Club tier Sandhill de Sherbrooke. That's my French accent. People that, yeah, Club de Tir Sandhill de Sherbrooke. Anyways, $100. Peace River Fishing Game Association, or the PCFGA, 2,500. Frontenac Rifle and Pistol Club, my club, $2,500. Salmon and Arm Fish and Game Club, $500, and the Sportsman Club in Galt, 3-gun club. So the 3-gunners, they passed around a hat and they came up with $700. So congratulations to these guys. Hey, Adriel.
I have a donation as well.
Do you?
I did. I donated $100 last week because I went on the CCFR webpage and I joked, which I've done multiple times. But I joked that if I had $100 for every time somebody said something stupid on the CCFR Facebook page or mocked the CCFR for not doing anything, if I had a penny, I'd have $100. And this morning I donated that $100 to the CCFR. So,
well, thank you. Well, why don't we talk? That's awesome.
I put $50 in last week, but that's not $100.
No.
Thanks, though, poor people.
Okay. So why don't we talk about the CCFR legal challenge fundraiser challenge that we have. Adriel, you want to talk about it? Because we had somebody who donated, and we're going to give
Here's the deal. You're going to donate to the CCFR legal challenge. You need to email that receipt to us afterwards and say like, yo, I donated. And maybe we'll send you a 1022 receiver. Maybe. You'll be like one of many people that'll be in the pool.
Correct.
What sort of 1022 receiver would that be, Adrian?
And who donated it, Adriel?
That would be a gray birch.
So many questions.
It will be the CLR, which is not a cleaner, but it is their standard 0 MOA rail on top.
Right. Is there any special reasons why we're using it?
It says CCFR on it.
Yeah, it's laser engraved with CCFR logo on it. So, and it's numbered. So you can win one of those. Hey, Adriel.
Hey.
What's the other option that you can do? Is it just for actually sending in a donation, sending us a photo of it, or how else can you win one of these amazing CCFR?
You could go to Armory DC Gunsmith and I don't know, say you want to win it, and they'll tell you what to do, which is make a donation. Yeah. Yep.
So there's going to be a couple of them. So go and do that. Hey,
your odds are very good right now. You have like these are the best odds you're going to face all year.
Yes.
So if you want like a pimpin' 1022 receiver and to help the CCFR, this is the way to do it. And
if you're helping the CCFR, you're helping yourself. Okay, so when's the draw date?
May 27th.
Okay. Do we have a shout out for this week?
Bradley K has donated $40.
Excellent job.
I like how you're prompting me the whole way through this. I try to like wing it and half-ass it, and you're like, no, you're gonna say all the things, and I'm gonna make you.
My theory is that Adriel just wants Kelly to do it, so she's making it really, really difficult. So she'll just be like,
Okay, I give up. Right. So last week we had our April Fool's show, and there were some things that we talked about that maybe I think some people were kind of wondering if it was actually true or not. This is one of the things that I think some people thought wasn't true. So
that's a real thing. We're doing this thing.
Do you want me to read this thing?
Yes, please.
I'll read this one. I'll read it in my radio voice.
Thank you.
Do you have a face for radio? Are you willing to work for scale? I don't know what that is. Is that an RC car thing?
Nothing. That's what it means. For nothing.
For nothing. Oh, like pay versus our amount that we get. Okay. You could get stock options too. Well, we're here looking for a part-time host, specifically someone who can fill out when one of us is lame, lazy, or ill and cannot make it. We're hoping for someone who will round out or complement the rest of us, particularly complimenting Kelly. That will get you bonus points. And our disciplines. If you're interested, here is what we would like you to do. Submit a voice message and a brief bio about yourself and why we should pick you, why you're not a loser. You can send the message and bio to slamfireradio@gmail.com or message on Facebook. The deadline for submissions is April 30th.
Excellent. Thank you.
That?
Awesome. It was really, really well done.
I'm helping.
You're helping, yeah. So we are looking for a part-time host, everybody. It wasn't an April Fool's joke. The other one that wasn't, by the way, even though we eat chicken all the time, I am still somebody who is I'm not a proletarian. That was mine. Anyways.
That was a funny one. I'm not going to shoot a wolf with an FX9.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't. The gun's just going to blow up anyway. Maybe just let the wolf shoot the FX9 and it'll blow itself up.
Got to get him by the ejection port.
Yeah. Just sneak up.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get into the news, new guns and news stuff, can we actually talk a little bit about what's happening next week? So this is episode 399. So guess what next week is? Because math.
Episode 399A.
No. Part 2.
Part 2. So next week is our 400th episode. Yay. So what we would like you guys to do is send us an email. Tell us what your favorite over the 400 episodes, or 399, because technically it's 400 next week. Send us an email. Tell us what either your favorite episode was, or moment, or guest, or anything like that. And you can send it to slamfireradio@gmail.com. And we would read it on next week's episode.
Bonus points if you binge watch all 399 episones, film yourself doing it, and then fast forward the entire thing and make one video out of it. You'll get bonus points if you do that.
No.
How long would that take?
I don't care. It's not my time.
400, 800 hours.
Yeah. Get on it.
24 hours in a day. It'd take a month. You'd have to leave it on play for a month straight.
So you would have to open the audio files in multiple players on your computer and play them all.
Listen to them concurrently. You can do it in 2 hours.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good move.
400.
Yeah. Very effective.
Okay. Awesome. So yeah. So send that to us as well. Or you can actually share through social media, like on Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
Looking forward to the stories. It's going to be awesome.
Okay. So news. You want to talk about it?
Yeah. U.S. gun control. It's coming. Biden made an announcement today. Now, nothing real happened today, but he basically said, I'm going to tell these guys to do all this stuff now, and they're going to go and do it. Whether they can or not, I don't know. We'll find out. But I'll list off the stuff here, and we'll see if it happens. This wasn't actually, if you look at Biden's gun control platform, there's a very small part of it, it looks like. So maybe more will come later, or maybe he's just going to.
There's more.
Yeah. So this is all U.S., but we have plenty of U.S. listeners. So it's worth going over a little bit.
Yep.
They're going to prohibit 80% lowers as ghost guns. Those aren't like, have fun making a flintlock rifle with your son or daughter or something like that. No, that's a ghost gun. It's bad. And the same with the 80% ARs and all that kind of stuff. So those are going to get banned. No more braces on handguns, which in Canada, you'd be like, what are you even talking about? But in the US, if you want a rifle with less than 16-inch barrel, it has to be a pistol. And therefore their ARs can't have stocks on them until they actually had a vet, an injured vet who couldn't shoot with two hands. And he got a brace that would attach to his forearm so he could shoot his AR pistol. And they got around to like, okay, yeah, that's allowed. That's a pistol. That's a brace. It's fine. You can it can strap to your arm. You can rest on it. Oh, it looks kind of like a stock, but it's still just a pistol. So who cares? And now they're going to change their mind on that, and they're all going to be SBRs. And the last estimate I looked at said that there were between 2 and 4 million of those in the U.S., which might. There's another provision that they might be able to hit on, which is if it's in common enough use, 2A applies to it. So that might actually be a good thing, because they might be able to just say, no, that's 2A. You can't do anything about that.
I wish them best of luck if they prohibit them and tell people to turn them in.
Yeah.
Put 4 million of them.
Yeah, this is America. This is not Canada. People will. Yeah. I've talked to a few Americans about this whole thing, and they're like, I'm just going to ignore that.
I'm going to pretend you didn't say that.
I'm just not listening.
That's really dumb.
He's using an executive order to bring us in.
No, I believe with these, he was asking. So he's asking the ATF to reclassify some of this stuff. So some of this is yet to come. Some of this is he wants other people to do his dirty work.
Exactly.
So like one of the things is he took one of the guys who did Waco, and he's like, "You seem like an upstanding citizen. I'm going to put you in charge of the ATF." So that happened, and he's apparently just a anti-gunner and whatnot. So a very political.
I looked him up. He's a senior advisor for Everytown for Gun Safety, fun fellows, and a bunch of other stuff, and basically hates guns. So he's perfect.
Yeah, real interesting political appointment there.
So you got some other stuff on here. Red flag
legislation, yeah, which we've talked about in Canada here because we already have red flag legislation, but we're getting more, and there's potential for abuse in there. And I think in the U.S. with the political climate they have, it would be way worse. There's very few people who I'd worry about in Canada here doing false red flags to get people in trouble. In the U.S., it would like that risk is very high. People are going to die because of this.
Yeah.
And then he also said, like, we're probably going to do some other stuff. He said we should, but he didn't actually say how or when or whatever. Ban assault weapons, high cap mags, eliminate gun manufacturer immunity from like lawsuits. So if like
that's one of his big ones.
And eliminate the gun show loophole, which is actually like private sales. You can privately sell your firearms to someone else, and that's not a gun show loophole. It was built in like that as far as I know.
It's one of the good things about here in Canada. We can do certain things like we can mail firearms in the mail, or we can go and we've already got our license, so we can just go and pick up a gun. Whereas
not for long though, because C71 means you have to phone those in. I could be right next to you, be like, I want to sell you this 308 bolt action rifle. I have to call the government, ask for permission, say I'm going to sell it to Kelly, get the little thing that says a reference number. Then you have to. Do you have to call in? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how C71 is going to work. They haven't even bothered implementing it. It's just the long gun registry again. It's a total pain in the ass. If you weren't around for it the first time, it was a real pain in the ass.
I kept all my certificates just to remind me.
Do you remember people engraving the registration certificate into their gun, like inscribing it on the stock like a caveman?
I have a 22 that I got when a buddy died, and he took an electro pencil and like cut it into the barrel.
Yeah.
Because of the old cooey.
So that's what it means for Americans, and to be honest, Americans, you'll get better news from an American source on what this means.
Yeah.
But for us Canadians, what this means is ammo and guns are going to be hard to find because people in the U.S. are probably going nuts right now buying them all up.
And they were prior to this too. So
it's really it's going to be like this for a while.
Yep.
Yeah, might be a long shortage. Of guns and ammo. Although it keeps coming in. I still see like PMC and Barnaul and stuff coming in. Like for a while there, 223 was up to $700, and most recently I've seen it on sale for right around $600 per 1,000. So we're still getting cheap 223 in country here. I haven't seen any cheap 9mm yet, but
nope,
I'm not looking.
Yeah,
go buy it now.
Yeah, so it is available. So maybe this shortage won't be as bad as last time when it just looked like you couldn't buy anything. Yeah.
Maybe gotta go buy some 22.
Anyways, that's that news.
Okay. All right. So, brand ambassador. Slamfire Radio is a brand ambassador for Bolt Action Coffee. Coffee is roasted in small batches, and it is the bomb. Go and buy some. You can have it sent to your home by going to boltactioncoffee.com, and you can use the Slamfire Radio as your discount code, and they'll send it to you.
You will use the discount code. You might. You will.
So go and buy some good coffee. Coffee makes the world a better place. It really, really does. All right. What's new and new gun stuff?
Well, every once in a while we talk about Prophet River and their amazing Vortex sales. One is coming up soon. When? I don't know. We'll give notice the exact time that'll go live. Please do not contact us. We want to be fair. 24 hours ahead. So I'd pay attention because these prices are like half what they normally are. They're like half off retail. These are open box or demo optics, optic mounts, all that kind of stuff. So if you're looking for a fancy Vortex scope, these prices are fantastic. And I kind of want to get one of these red dots because I kind of want another red dot. I thought I saw a couple in here. Not the Crossfire. They've got a couple of Vortex Venom red dots and the Razor red dot as well. I kind of want like $260 for a Venom. I want one of them.
I'm kind of interested in some of those strike eagles.
Yeah. It's always a great idea to check them out. Prophet River has some really good deals on stuff.
Yeah, these ones in particular are unbelievably good. Yeah, so I am looking forward to that. And then this other one, I'm doing this cheap pistol thing, and boy, I am like this close to buying one of these things, but I just don't want to because I've had Berettas in the past, and same complaint about the Sigs. It's 1980s technology,
ancient.
Yeah,
but why stop?
Good point. Anyways, who are these guys? Great North Gun Co. Has Italian police surplus Beretta 92s for $399. That price is good.
So you were just saying that you're doing a comparison. Come on.
Yep. Giddy up.
These are cheaper than the Gursan, like Turkish copy Beretta 92s. And they're about the same price as the Norinco Sig copies, but you get a real Beretta one. It's probably clapped out. It's probably like those police have been,
shot the crap out of it.
I don't think the Italians shoot each other very often, so it's probably hasn't seen a lot of rounds. Probably just a lot of holster wear.
Well, not the cops, no.
Yeah. No.
Oh, you can pay a little bit more and you can get it with a leather holster and a pistol case.
Does it come with an extra mag or still just one?
Doesn't look like it does. Comes with one mag.
I think you need to do actually just do it.
No.
Yeah. But spend the money.
All right, Judge. I just spent like $1,000 today because I got that Maverick and whatnot paid off.
Oh, you're just going to sell them anyway. Shut your pile.
True.
Good Lord.
True.
Man.
Dave's right. Anyways. Okay.
Yeah. I'll come back to this.
You're going to buy it.
Well, I just added it to cart. Yeah.
Good boy.
All right, let's get into the main topic. So for tonight's main topic, we have Christopher Golden with us, and he's going to be talking to us about archery. It's something that a lot of people are picking up, particularly with the pandemic. They can get out into their backyard. They are able to actually use it. But not only that, a lot of people are actually exploring it with interest in other shooting disciplines, and it's something that is actually taking off in Canada as well. So we wanted to say thank you to Christopher for coming on.
Thank you, Christopher, for coming on.
One of the things we were hoping to have Trevor on tonight because it's a little known fact. Well, not really a little known fact, but Trevor actually is somebody who is into archery. And not only did he compete, but he actually was also a coach. And Christopher was one of the people that Trevor coached. So I thought it'd be a great idea to bring Christopher on and be like almost like a reunion. And it's like 6 degrees of Trevor. And the reason why I say this is because Christopher's father graduated high school with me, and Trevor was the coach for Christopher. So it's like, it's weird. 6 degrees of Trevor Bacon. I thought it was cool. But that's just my weird mind.
I like bacon, but now maybe I don't.
Yeah, Anyways, thanks, Christopher, for coming on. We really appreciate you coming on. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you're located, and specifically some of the archery things that you have done, because you're quite accomplished, actually.
Yeah, I mean, my whole archery career has been not really career, hobby, I guess. It's been right place, right time for me. Archery's grown a lot. When I started when I was young, it was big, and then it kind of dwindled a little bit in the Atlantic provinces. I'm in the huge town of Tracy, New Brunswick, with a population of 600 people, and Kelly would know where that is.
Yeah.
And Trevor started coaching me. I was around 8 years old when I got into archery. My whole family's been big into hunting their whole lives, and archery was just a reason to bow hunt. You could hunt 3 weeks earlier. So my father jumped on that bandwagon to deer hunt and bear hunt and all those types of things. And when you're an 8-year-old kid and you're a redneck and you grew up in Tracy, it's just another projectile to launch. And archery was I went to the range once with Dad, and he bought me my first compound bow the second night I was at the range. So that's kind of how that became a big passion of mine right off the bat. And after I was 10 or 11, I met Trevor around the age of 10, I believe. And then Canada Games were coming up that year in 2007. I was 12 when I went there. A guy at the range, he was another coach. He said, "Hey, you should try out for the Canada Games. I know you're young, but you can go to 3 Canada Games at 12. It goes to your 21 every 4 years." And I pretty much started from there. And then that's when after I got to the Canada Games when I was 12, I saw people that were like, they seemed to shoot perfect. Like they didn't miss. They never left the center. They were just like, I want to be that guy. And that's kind of what fueled it. And then Trevor had that same passion, same drive, same everything. It's the ironic funny thing is I always used to argue when I was a little kid. I was huge into guns too, as a little redneck kid, and I was always at the range with Dad and stuff, shooting trap and skeet and that. And I always used to argue with Trevor that guns were cooler than bows. And at the time, Trevor might not like me saying this on a gun podcast, but he was very archery at that time, archery, and there's nothing better than archery. And guns are pretty cool. Now I'm on a podcast that Trevor's involved with, and I'm talking about archery on his gun podcast. So.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic. If you follow the podcast, there's a lot of irony in what Trevor says. Okay. Anyways, getting back to it. You said, let's go back to, so you met Trevor when you were like 12. You went to Canada Games.
Yeah. First Canada Games, Trevor wasn't there. That was in Whitehorse. Second Canada Games was in Halifax. And around the time I was 16, going into the second Canada Games was my first time I tried out for Worlds and went to Worlds. And I was the alternate the first year at Worlds. I was 14. I missed the trial for Utah. I missed a medal match by a qualification match by a couple of points to get in on Team Canada. And then the next year, Trevor started working with me a lot. He really, everything I'd done with archery, I owe to Trevor. Is just the mental aspect for the technical aspect, right to tuning. I'll get into some of that later, but that was he kind of put it in. You can go in your backyard and practice. You guys probably would know that anybody can pull the trigger, anybody can just fire arrows, but if you don't shoot it with a purpose, you don't have any fundamentals down of what you're doing. And he helped me really get in depth with it, I guess, and then go really competitive. And that summer I went to Poland in 2011 and went on to China 2 years after that, and then Pan Am champs in Argentina. So he kind of gave me the push to really go to like the world level. So that was so.
Well, congratulations!
Thanks.
One of the other things that you actually have done is you were also the flag carrier for Canada.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And again, that was right place at right time. I mean, I had the opportunity to go to Canada Games with some pretty spectacular athletes. Jake Allen went to the Canada Games in 2007. I mean, right place at the right time. And because I had coaches like Trevor and people that thought a lot of me, and they wrote big lists of resumes of stuff that I've done. It was just, they were really good, and they were pretty adamant about trying to get me to be a flag bearer. I didn't know any of this at the time. They wanted to kind of surprise me. And I remember getting that phone call from one of the head mission staff for the Canada Games for Team New Brunswick. And that was pretty sweet. That was a pretty fun night. I enjoyed that.
Wow. Congratulations on
that. That was pretty cool.
You're representing Canada.
Your sport at a big event like that. It's really nice to promote your sport too. Like it's, because they say underneath Christopher Golden Archery and even better, there was 2 other archers, one from Team Manitoba and one from Team Saskatchewan that I went to Worlds with in Poland and China. And they were both flag bearers also for their provinces that night. So that was pretty. Archery got a really good promotion that night. It was pretty great. So
that's awesome. That
was
very cool.
Pretty fun to see. So
yeah. So a lot of people, as I said, archery is really starting to pick up. Like you can see it everywhere. Basically, gun stores are actually bringing in equipment, and also I'm even starting to pick it up too. So you started when you were quite young.
Yep.
All right. So if a youth shooter, not a youth shooter, so somebody is a youth or somebody that is actually just a beginner as an adult, what do they need to do to actually get into archery? What do they need to know? Where should they go? What should they do? And we'll take them through the process.
Okay. My favorite part about archery is it's competitive. It's as competitive of you as you want to make it. Like any range you go to or any club you go to, I would suggest to a family or a younger kid who wants to get into archery, just show up at your local range and you will hardly walk through the door and someone will be probably passing you a bow, or they'll say, hey, you should try this, or what can I do for you? Archery is very friendly, and I've never met a single person that doesn't want to try and promote archery. We've always kind of had that. It's almost like a family. Even if you go to a shoot outside of your province, it's like, if we can't have nationals with the COVID and stuff, which I miss, but even if you go to an event at nationals and there's 100 people there that you've seen, I've been going to nationals. I have missed the last few years for work and life getting away, but you've been seeing and grew up with those same people for the last decade. You get to know them pretty well. So, and we all kind of share that same want to grow our sport. And how many, every year at nationals, you see more and more and more little kids, and we continue to try to do that the best we can. So, and it all starts at a local range. Here in New Brunswick, Atlantic Archery Center, right outside in Fredericton, Archery and Paintball Center in the Industrial Park. That's where I've been shooting since I was 8 years old. The gentleman there is fantastic with equipment and setup with little kids. And that goes for every place across the country, really. And I would say don't complicate it. Try a couple different bows. Even if you're a little kid, there's always a lot of ranges have bows that everybody can use on the rack, whether that's just a traditional bow. It's hard to set up a compound bow for a new beginner, but to see if you like it, I mean, it's enough to get you hooked. It was enough to get me hooked when I was a little kid. And it's for older people who would like to get into archery. Most people at a range will let you, with COVID restrictions right now, it's kind of tough you can't touch everybody else's bow and you have to shoot in a little booth. And anyway, but when the world spins again, most people at an archery range will let you try their equipment. Like they'll say, here, like try my release, or try a shot out of my bow. You're similar to my size. Tell me what you think before you go spend $2,000 on an archery setup. Try something simple and see if you like this. So if you go to any range, really the people there will do the rest for the most part. It's like if I see a little kid at the range and he's looking at my bow and he's all excited about it, I'm going to, I'll go pick up one of the bows in the rack and say, here, man, try this. Right.
And you'll offer that to him. And
for sure. And everybody will do that, really.
Yeah.
I found. So I'd say you don't have to be shy. It's not like hockey, where if you're the little kid, it's where you're really small for your age, or you're not physically there to play a certain, a high demanding, a really physical sport or something like that. Archery's not like that. It's very friendly. It's a pretty
inclusive.
It's very inclusive. Like anybody from 4 to 84, if you want to, everybody's, it's really good that way.
You mentioned a traditional bow versus compound bow. What's the difference between the two?
Compound is anything with a traditional bow. A lot of people throw the different terms around. Recurve would be Olympic style, like what you see in the Olympics. It boils down to wheels or no wheels.
Okay.
Right? Cams or no cams. I've got a bunch of stuff.
Do you want to show it, actually?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So like when we say cams or wheels on a bow, we have a lot of room in here. This is all decked out. So when we say cams on a bow, these great big wheels right here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Stormtrooper bow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to take the stabilizer off. So this is just for balance when you're aiming the bow. This aims this and this piece in the back. That's what aims everything. It just makes it sit still. That would be like, I don't know if that'd be like
a compensator.
I don't know if you guys play around with like the lengths of your stocks on rifles for competition.
Absolutely.
Shooting. Yeah. So like similar, like whatever makes it sit for you, the best setup you can roll with.
Yeah.
So pretty similar. So this would be considered a compound bow. This would be considered a target bow. I've got a hunting bow beside me too. I'll get into that.
Sure.
Target bows typically, the longer the better, the more accurate. It would be the same as you go into the range. You probably don't take your AR to shoot 800 yards. You take something with a 26-inch barrel and a heavy bullet, and So a target bow typically is like your axle to axle, which is from you see the axle in the limb. there.
Yep.
That's the longer for target, the more you get away with.
Okay.
The height from here to here, the longer the
Your
arrows
sight.
on the string, the more forgiving it is. Simple things like that. So same as a rifle in a lot of ways for a scope. Windage at the elevation at the top. This is adjustable. Windage on the side. There's a little button on the side here. So left and right, up and down. There's a peep sight in here. Bow draws back. I shoot a dot, if you can see the dot.
Yep.
Okay. Put the dot on what you want to hit.
And it's
shot. So that's the rundown, kind of. A lot of people, if I'm getting too technical with this, tell me to slow down.
We're nerds. Cool.
Yeah, we love it.
So I tend to talk really fast for explaining things. I've been told a lot. I get excited about things. So a lot of people will shoot a type of release device. The other difference in recurve is you have to shoot with your fingers. So recurve people would have like a tab, like a leather tab. They would draw with their 3 fingers and they would anchor underneath their chin.
Yep.
And they wouldn't. They don't have any let off. They don't have any rollover on their cams. It's more difficult to shoot recurve. I haven't shot a lot of recurve, but why they don't allow compound in the Olympics yet? We're fighting to get it in. It hasn't yet. But anyway. So lots of people will use like a handheld device like this, which hooks on a loop when you draw your bow back.
Mm-hmm.
When you come into full draw and you would look through the sight, you're anchored on your nose. I could draw this back, but it's not a lot of room here. So there's different versions of these. This is on like a seer and a moon. It's on like a seer and a moon. And this just fires with rotation. You're gradually just rolling your hand, relaxing your hand until the shot fires. And away it goes. It's a device to allow the bow to shoot. Some people prefer a trigger. So this one would hook on. There's actually a barrel, any trigger you would squeeze, pull the trigger, the shot.
Oh, this is really cool.
Yeah. So,
it's very similar to shooting.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. Trevor always told me that long range shooting, he said, reminded him a lot of archery. Like you try to ring your 308 out to 800 yards. It's very similar. The fundamentals of that and the mental aspect of that are very similar to archery.
Mm-hmm.
Indoor archery, we shoot 18 meters. Outdoor archery for compound is as far as 50 meters. We used to shoot 90. They've changed the rules. The distances have varied a little bit, but for better venues and easier access to certain venues, it's hard to get a venue for 90 meters unless you're on a soccer field, which isn't always doable at a lot of nationals in a big city. So
what size of targets are you shooting with a compound at 20 meters?
20 meters look like this.
Because I shoot these guys at 20 meters, but I can't
that's exactly it. There's different ruling of different target sizes. In the US, in America, they shoot the ones, depending on the tournament, they shoot the big rings. You see a 10 ring and you'll see other targets that just have that little X ring right here. Mm-hmm. You probably have another ring on your target behind you. So this
I'm not shooting that very often.
That other ring would be a 10. So that's the size. This is the X is about the size of a nickel. A 10 to be roughly the size of a toonie. I'd compare it to a toonie, 10 ring a toonie, and the X is about the inner side of a toonie. Pretty close. So
is the X more points or it's just your tiebreaker?
It depends on the tournament. An X, normally if you were to tie someone, it would go by number of X's. So if you and I were to both shoot a perfect score of 300, it's indoors is 3 arrows at a time, 10 rounds of 3 arrows. You get 2 minutes to shoot 3 arrows. Outdoors is 6 arrows at a time, depending on the way they want to run the shoot. Sometimes you'll shoot 3 if it's a huge venue, but typically outdoors at 50 meters is six arrows, and I think it's 4 minutes to shoot. It's been so long since I shot an outdoor tournament with COVID. But
okay. Now, is that typical to like as you progress throughout competition as well? So is it the same rules whether you're at a regional Canada?
Yeah,
world?
Targets vary in size for age group. Like if you're a littler shooter, a younger shooter, the target sizes vary. For some little kids shoot at 10 meters until I think it's 10 meters until you're around the age of 10 or so, or 8. It's been a while since I've shot that when I was a kid. And then you're shooting I think it's a 60 centimeter target at 10, and then you back up to the 3-spot targets like in Adriel's behind the target I just showed you. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Now you were talking also about, do you have a recurve board there as well? So that
I do not. No, I don't.
No? Okay.
No.
What about
the dark side? They're not forbidden. No,
forbidden.
No, I tried to shoot a recurve bow once. It was my friend's, and I could hardly get it back. It was a mess. It was just not good.
Well, that's the difference too, right? You also have weight on the drawstring. So do you want to talk a little bit about that too? Because it's complicated as well.
It is, yes. So like, again, when we say let off, like when that cam is rolling back and it gets to a certain point and it rolls over, that's your let off on your bow. That's adjustable on a lot of bows. You can tweak it, and some bows you can get up to like a 90% let off. Some guys like to shoot a 65. It depends on how much you like to hold. It's a personal preference thing. Recurve doesn't have that rollover. So whatever your limbs are set at, say you ordered a 40-pound set of limbs for your recurve bow, that bow is 40 pounds the whole way back when you're drawing your bow. There's no let off after. So it's much harder to hold, much harder to aim. So I could try to show an example of that. This is a hunting bow.
Yep.
If you can see that cam, see how when it's rolling, see how it goes like kind of like tonk, like there's a valley and it lets off.
Yep.
So that's kind of, it's hard to draw that in a 2-foot area. That's kind of the benefit of a compound bow in a lot of ways. That they're easier to shoot, they're easier to hold.
Yeah.
You have that, you've seen that where that cam rolled.
What's the huge difference between your hunting one and the competition one?
So again, like I was saying on the target bow, everything longer. Typically, longer is more accurate. The longer that arrow, the quicker, the longer the bow, the more steady it's going to be. The easier it's going to aim for you. The longer the distance from the grip to the string, which would be called brace height, that's the faster the arrow gets off of the bow. So if you're going to shake or wiggle or move, that arrow has more time to correct itself because it's getting off the string as fast as possible. So you can see how short the distance is from here to here on a hunting bow, which it's designed to be faster. The longer the arrow's on the string, the more time it has to push it, the faster it's going to be. However, because of that, you get away with less because it'd be like shooting your handgun versus your AR, right? It's same thing. It's easier to probably miss with a handgun than it is with a longer gun. Yeah. Right. It's more kick, more wiggle. It's designed to get an arrow gone fast to shoot an animal, not for punching paper. So
and you're shooting
and you see like this is compact. This is designed for a ground blind, a tree stand, something not on a field with all kinds of room, right?
Right. So it's going to be a little bit more compact. You're also not going to have all the bells and whistles. You'll still have a scope. It looks like you still have the red dot on that. Do you have a red dot on that one, or do you have just peep sight?
For hunting, there's various, some people like different setups. So on this, you can see multiple pins.
Yep.
On there. Okay. So there's like, some people would set those up 10 yards, 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards, 15, 25, whatever you prefer, increments of 10 or 5. So I don't like shooting multi-pins. I've shot a single pin my whole life. And again, on a pin, it's the same as the other one, the other side I showed you where you have a windage and an elevation.
Yep.
I have an example of that. Hold on.
I think I got 4 pins on my hunting bow.
See, most people.
So it's just holdovers based on
most people
range.
Most bow hunters prefer multiple pins because it's easier to get on an animal faster.
Yeah.
So I prefer, this is my hunting bow. It was Dad's hunting bow I had a hold of. I prefer a single pin, and I don't know if you can see right there. Yeah. That's more or less like a turret. There's all the distance settings on here. You can get those. You can design those in a. You can get like certain software that will develop that. If you take the speed of your bow, the weight of your arrows, and the draw length, and all the specs of your bow, punch it into a thing. It's same as if you were designing a turret for a rifle. Yep. And you can print that out. This is a metal one. I found a metal one to match. A lot of guys would use a paper one. They'd put it into a. It's
your dope calculator. Software. That's basically what it's your dope calculator.
Yeah, that's what it is. I like to hunt that way, and hunting bows they're fast. So if you see an animal come out right now, this is set at 60 yards. If I see an animal come out at 40 yards, you can see the sight move, like you can see that move up and down. So 40 yards, set it to 40 yards, lock it in place. It's ready to go. It's pretty quick. It's a pretty higher end hunting sight.
Yeah.
But, that's in a nutshell. It's really personal preference, whatever you're more comfortable with in the woods. I've shot this since I was 10, so that's just the setup I'm used to. Right?
Now, do you actually use the elevation windage settings, or do you just know where it's going to hit?
In a hunting situation, I mean, I would that's the thing about bow hunting. There's a lot of variables with archery. You're not shooting a 300 Win Mag. It's slow. You got to know your bow. Really, if the wind is a huge factor in a hunting situation, you probably shouldn't have taken the shot. To sight this bow in, I'll use the windage and stuff. But if I'm going to make a shot on an animal, archery, you're really not shooting far enough away for the windage to matter a whole lot. You know your elevation. There's tricks to shooting outdoors for target archery. When you're shooting multiple shots, you can read the wind. In a tournament, they'd have flags and socks on the sides, like you can see which way the wind's blowing on your target, and you can make adjustments for that. Every archer does that a little different. There's a level on most bows. You can see a level in my sight, my scope. If you bubble one way or the other, like you slightly lean your bow one way. If the wind, for example, is blowing this way, I'm going to lean my bow in a little bit. It's going to tilt my arrow one way or the other. That's a trick, but you're getting pretty technical with that. In a hunting situation, I'm not making windage adjustments when I see a deer walk out at 30 yards, I guess.
So you already know what your holdovers are based on your comfortability with your bow that you've used for years.
Yeah, really. Yeah. The holdover, like I don't like to use any guesswork. Some guys can do it. Guys that shoot traditional would do it. I dial, if I set the rangefinder at an elevation at say 30 yards, 35 yards, I set it, but most people wouldn't set a windage for shooting in a hunting situation. Most guys wouldn't shoot windage on an animal. That's something you would read. It's something you kind of play with and know your bow. If you're gonna be a bow hunter to make 60 and 70 yard shots in the middle of a field and the wind's blowing, I would say put your time in, put your practice in, really know what your bow's gonna do in that situation.
My question about specifically the hunting bow, what's your comfortability with what's your comfortability where you know you're going to be able to make that shot? So can you go out to, let's say, 100 yards, 200?
100 would be pushing it.
Your max?
It's little. I would say on a deer size game, for me, I've shot a lot of arrows at 50 meters and we used to shoot a lot out to 90 meters. I'd be comfortable on deer size game out to 50 yards, I would say. Moose are a big target, but you got to remember too, it really depends on what kind of a setup you're shooting. If you're shooting a 45-pound bow and it's only say 300 feet per second, I wouldn't recommend trying shots on moose at 70 yards. This bow is the fastest PSE bow on the market made because, well, I mean, when archery freak and
It's like you like the toys.
What's another $2,000 for a bow, right? So, I mean, it's same as you guys in guns, right? But this bow was designed to take a moose out at 70 yards if need be. I'd be comfortable in a moose size game at 70 yards, knowing my equipment. I wouldn't say if you're a first time bow hunter to go and do that, but deer size bear, I'd say around the 50 yard mark, same as deer, where they're little smaller targets. Yes, that's just a ballpark. There's guys that can confidently make those shots, and everything changes in a hunting situation. You can go in your backyard and make 70-yard shots and hit the middle all day, and then when that buck of a lifetime comes out in front of you at 60 yards and you start shaking and your arrow drops off your rest and you you can hardly get it drawn back. Yeah, but some people can stay calm. I'm not one of them. That's for me. Bow hunting, I've shot in multiple tournaments, and I've been lucky enough to be on the podium at some tournaments at nationals and Pan Am champs and stuff. To me, there's no rush more than hunting. I love watching an arrow go through an animal. That's just my thing. I've always been a hunter. That's just I'm a junkie for that. That's my adrenaline rush. That's for me, hunting is where it's at for me. I love target archery, but I shoot target archery when hunting season's closed. I shoot target archery because, well, if there's no season on anything, I can still shoot my bow. But
so is 3D archery, is it kind of like a combination of the both of them though? And then you can actually prepare for hunting, but you can also actually incorporate which bow do you use for 3D archery, or do you do 3D archery?
I do. I'd like to do more of it. I've always 3D archery wasn't as big when I was involved in target archery. Target archery was pretty big in my province around like when I got into archery, and now 3D has gotten really big. 3D archery is a blast, and it's great practice for hunting situations. And you're still aiming at a line or at a certain spot on that animal, which most of them are pretty close. Depending on the situation, the the rings on a 3D animal might not be exactly where I would shoot a live animal in a hunting situation, but 3D archery is, I don't know if you've seen the targets. I should have had an example here, but 3D archery is huge in Atlantic Canada. It's growing more and more. But because some guys will shoot unknown 3D. You can shoot unknown 3D or known 3D. I am terrible at judging distance. I would shoot known 3D. So where I know the distance, I don't have to rely on a super fast bow. So I would shoot something similar to my target setup to get away with more of a,
accurate,
more of a shake or a wiggle, you get away with a lot more. It's a lot more forgiving setup. So I shoot a target setup for 3D. Some guys will shoot a hunting setup as well. It really depends on what you're comfortable with. But if you're a new archer and you want to get into bow hunting, I would say take your hunting bow, go to a 3D tournament and practice. That's the most, that's as close a situation as you can get to hunting, really. And it's great practice. It's a ton of fun. And in a lot of outdoor 3D is the most fun because you can get the most distance. You can get shots further away. Typically, we don't shoot many shots past 50 yards if it's an unknown distance course. If it's a known distance course, we'll go out a little further, like out to 60 and 70 and 80 yards at some. Most indoor school gyms, you can get up to like 30, 40 yards ish. So it's still really good practice. And it's 3D is where all the shooters in the States is where they make all of their money. There's guys that shoot the international, the IBO and the ASA events and all the big shoots in the States. There's guys that are cleaning up 25 and 30 grand a weekend and sponsors and payouts at those shoots. And it's the biggest archery. Archery, target archery. There's 3 or 4 big target archery tournaments in the world a year that are like major, and most other known, sponsored, paid by the bow company pro archers shoot 3D. That's where they're.
Would you say that's because it's more of a spectator sport? Like watching people shoot 3D archery is freaking awesand compared to target archery. Target archery, a lot of people used to say it's like watching paint dry. But and honestly, I would agree with that. I would do it. Watching it is unless it's a high stakes target shoot. But watching 3D, like watching a guy try to hit the 14. Like there's certain spots on all animals, and if you aim at a certain spot and you miss, if you're trying to shoot a higher score than the next guy, and one guy shoots a spot on the animal that's worth 10 points, there's a spot that's worth 12 points, there's a spot that's worth 14 points. If you hit a 14 and you miss the 14, you're in the 8 or the 5. So it's pretty intense to watch a guy hit a spot that big at 60 yards on a target that he judged the distance on, and it gets pretty intense pretty fast. Yeah, it's fun. It is a blast. Like go on YouTube, check out like the IBO or ASA events or anything like that from the States. It's pretty cool to watch. It gives it a whole new respect for the sport, really, of what those guys really can do. It is pretty fascinating, really.
Cool.
It is awesome watching people who are very, very good at shooting.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous next level stuff. So.
I actually also like watching the target shooting. I appreciate the precision. It's me, though.
For me, that's like watching target rifle. It's so boring.
But I appreciate it. It's the same thing. I appreciate the precision.
I appreciate it, but I cannot watch it.
It is precise. Like that target I showed you. You have guys that show up at the Vegas shoot and Lancaster shoot that would never miss that inner circle. Very rarely. But that's how they make their money, right?
Yeah.
But from shooting, I know how hard it is to shoot a perfect score, and let alone to be under the pressure of like 50 grand on the line, and then all the payouts from your sponsors. To block that all out as a pro and be able to focus on what you're doing and not think about all the other aspects of that. You got to have a lot of respect for that.
So can we talk about it a little bit about Canada and archery? You said guys down in the US, that's happening down in the US. You can go and you can make $40,000 a weekend.
That's if you win.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't see a lot of that here in Canada. And also, you represented Canada as an archer as well. There's not a lot of sponsor. Is there a lot of sponsorship for our athletes?
I personally know 2 people who are sponsored. I know one guy I went to the Worlds with. Chris Perkins. He could call the factory and Matthews would send him whatever he wanted.
Okay.
He's the only guy I've ever met that's really who would be considered a pro. There's been other archers in Canada who have won some big shoots and who have done very well. But as far as factory staff gets to go to the factory and help them with designing equipment and things along those lines, there's very few, like one or two max in Canada that since I've started shooting, really.
Okay. So you're self-funded, right?
Yeah. And that's the situation with most archers. And unless you've broken a world record or you got spotted really, really young and you've won some major shoots, it's all based on performance, really. Like if you go to a big event in the States and you win, you're going to get recognized. And most people, they would separate it. Like I would be considered a vacation archer. Like, and I've done okay for the province I'm in Atlantic Canada. I've been fortunate enough to represent Canada a couple times, but I would be considered a vacation archer. Like I'm going to a remote place, or it's like, say, like overseas, like Poland or Argentina. And it's a vacation as well I'm shooting. Whereas they go, it's their job to show up and win. And I'd still like to go to those shoots with doing my best and winning in mind when I was competing hard. But, like there's a very different mindset. And if you were to watch a person like me shoot at a local tournament versus a guy shoot at a tournament in the States or on the Vegas line, you can see there's a major difference there. Like there's, it's a job, more of a hobby for those guys, even though they love what they're doing. It's all it's a mental game for sure.
It's up there. Well,
you got to have that.
That's the other thing too. You talked about it a little bit earlier about what had happened when you actually met Trevor and he helped you with the mental mindset of it.
Yeah.
And so is that the biggest piece that's we always talk about equipment, but we also talk about mental mindset, and shooting is the biggest piece that's going to get you from being an okay shooter or a good shooter to somebody who's very competitive and basically will go to the worlds and different things like that. So my question to you is, how did Trevor help you with that mental piece? And, and how is that going to be helpful for people who want to take it from being a hobby to more of a competitive thing?
I would say Trevor, I was lucky enough. Trevor has I think he has a psychology degree, or he's studied a lot of all that stuff that's way over my head that I didn't question. Trevor is, as you know, Trevor was very like, do it because I told you. Like, don't overthink it. Just do this and you'll be better. Everybody general rule with archery was always said 75% mental, 25% physical. If you can shoot a perfect arrow once, you can shoot a perfect arrow 30 times. It's just, how did I shoot that perfect arrow once? Don't focus on what I did wrong. Focus on the good things. Like a lot of new shooters will go to the range and they'll say, oh, well, like, I don't have a really good release yet, or I feel I can't aim. I feel like I shake a lot, or I can't get my feet right, or I'm focus on one thing at a time, get one thing correct, then move to the next thing. And I have lists of, Trevor would do a lot of exercises where like you go through like pro athletes, like what do they do? Like guys in the MLB, there was a pitcher, I can't remember his name now. He played for the Blue Jays. He did 56 things before he threw a ball. He's standing on the mound with the ball in his hand. He did 56 steps before that ball left his hand, right? So if you want to go competitive, archery is all about consistency. That like you can look at everybody on the line that's a pro archer and some of them look the same, but there's not two forms that are the same. But if you look at those guys, they're all consistent. The shot window they have of when their shot releases is probably within the second every time. So there's something they've done to make that consistent. And for me, it was sit down with Trevor for hours upon hours and write down every single step that I did in my shot routine, from the time that I stood on the line to the time I knocked it out, to you draw your bow while you're aiming, when you release your shot. I'd say focus on one thing at a time. Focus on setting your grip correctly. Like focus on the way you hold the bow, focus on the way you draw the bow, focus on the way you release the bow. Go stand in front of the target and just don't even aim at a target. Don't try to shoot for a score. Just try to perfect your form. Stand 3 feet away. Even close your eyes if you have to. You're not going to miss if you're 3 feet from the target, right? And just relax and go through every one of those steps and write the steps down as to what you do. Because what I thought I did, because I didn't first write that shot routine list down when I was in front of a target. Trevor said, write down a shot routine. I wrote down a shot routine and I went on the line, and what I thought I did, I missed like 25 steps of the things that I did. So Trevor's reading me my list. and I couldn't shoot an arrow. Like I forgot to write knock an arrow on my list. Like it seems silly, but there's things that you don't register until you repeat those steps every time. It's going to seem monotonous and boring, but it's the only way to form of.
Did you use video as well? Did you have people video you?
That was the second thing I was going to get into.
Yeah.
If you have access to, most people do, set your phone up, get someone to video you, set your phone up on a tripod stand or a camera of some sort, and just video yourself shooting, see what you did wrong. Even get someone at a range to watch you who if at your local range, I will guarantee you there's someone at your local range somewhere at an archery range who is there all the time, who's probably an archery freak and would happily watch you shoot, and they could tell you what you done different from shot to shot. So awesome. that helps a lot. Yeah.
How much you talking about fundamentals? We're covering a lot of subjects right now, but so you talked about fundamentals. So get that under you. Is there a lot of programs? How many programs are there in Canada and across Canada? Are there national programs? Are there things that you can go to? Are there like coaches that you can you walk into your local range and there, that there's going to be somebody there that can offer you the fundamentals with consistency and build those skills for you?
Very, very few in Canada, I would say. At your local range, depending on where you are, if you're in Toronto or a big city or Calgary or somewhere, I would say there's a lot of coaches around. Atlantic Canada, we do not have a lot of coaches.
Not in Tracy?
Not in Tracy, no. Had to go clean a bathroom where Trevor is to get a coach. But yeah, but I met people that were willing to help me. I've learned as much from other archers as I've had coaches. And for the best coaching advice, especially right now, because it's going to be hard to go and find a coach right now, which is not a lot. I would go on YouTube and research the guys like Levi Morgan, like pro archers that will give, they have videos and videos of advice. George Riles is another one, Dave Cousins, Christopher Perkins. If you're a recurve archer, Brady Ellison. There's a ton of, go on YouTube and just John Dudley, just YouTube other archers, and they have a ton of instructional, like they get, a lot of them get paid because they're promoting a sponsor when they do it. They're saying, I shoot this bow, I use this equipment. But a lot of those guys, they get paid to do that, but I know I've talked to a couple of pros that I've had the privilege of meeting, and I'll message them anytime and they'll give me advice on what to do for a setup or tuning or mental aspects. And you can learn a lot just from going on the internet and watching other pros and listening to what they have to say. Mm-hmm. They all have great advice, and some not two archers are the same. Everybody has their own way of getting the arrow to hit the X or the 10 or the bullseye. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. If you can repeat that. So whatever method works best for you, it's all about consistency. And I would say, just find one of those guys' advice that you like and listen to every video that you can possibly watch on that. Okay. If you're in a place where you don't have a coach, because finding a template or finding some type of training plan on a site, I've never done that. I was lucky to have Trevor, but that's what I would suggest.
I'm going to record that. I've never heard anybody say that before.
Trevor's head won't be able to get through a door after listening to all
this.
He's pretty great. I give him a hard time, but he is for as far as archery goes, he's pretty much. I wouldn't even been able to get my bow out of the case if it wasn't for Trevor most times. So
wow.
Yeah. He's good with guns. He teaches guns the same way. So.
Yeah. He's taught me a little bit about guns, and I was always into guns, but I thought I knew about guns. I really knew nothing. I went to the range with Trevor, and I couldn't hit a pie plate at 10 feet with his pistol. So, I mean, I could when I left, but
yeah. And it's just a breakdown of everything. There are so many different bows. There's so many combinations, so many different. So what do you think for people who, just want to try it out? You said go to the range and somebody will say, here, try mine, whatever. But recommendations for just people to start out, should they actually start out with more of the compound hunting and so they can cover both, or I know it's kind of like guns. You need different guns for different things, but if somebody wants to get into it,
Yeah, what's the bow that I could go if you're coming from the gun? Like what's a good 308 bow, right?
Yeah.
Like what's your good go? What's a good firearm that I can shoot a whitetail with, or I can go to the range and plink all day if I would like to. Yeah,
exactly.
I would say get somewhere in between, something in between the hunting bow I'm holding and the other white target bow I showed you before. Like the length of it, there's a very broad range of that. I would say this is a 30-inch axle to axle bow. My target bow was a 40-inch axle to axle bow. I'd say get something in the middle. Get like a 35-inch axle to axle bow, something that's smooth. This has 70-pound limbs on it, it's designed for hunting. My target bow is 60 pounds. Most competition runs 60 pounds. Don't get overbowed if you're just getting into it and trying to enjoy it. Set your bow around like a 45, 50-pound draw cycle, or if you're grown, if you're an adult, like depending on your size and your stature, like everybody, a lot of guys like to get this big, huge, the fastest bow or the most expensive thing on the rack. Pretty much every bow is going to cost you money if you want to get into it or get serious about it. But I'd say get a mid-range everything bow without getting really technical. Like
how much would a setup cost you? Probably just to get in.
Again, depends on what you're after. That's a $600 sight. The rods on the bow, that was $1,000 set of rods. This is a $1,400 bow. Most ranges will give you a setup ready to go for hunting for around $700 to $800. It might not be brand new spanking top of the line. It varies. Archery equipment depreciates very fast in value, so it's nothing to go pick up an older model bow, say like a 2015, a 2016 bow that's been maybe used a little bit. If you know what you're looking for, it's you got to watch some stuff. But I would recommend going to a range. I wouldn't buy it secondhand on Kijiji. You don't know what you're getting. I'd say around the startup, if it's a used-ish bow, relatively new, a couple of years old, I'd say you're looking around $1,000 ish, roughly. For the most part. That's a ballpark. You can find better deals than that, but it's in a nutshell, that's going to vary a lot. But I would go to a range and ask some local people, was there a bow in here for me to try that would be a good startup bow if I'm looking for just an all-around target bow and all around, because there's 1,000 different models. They all vary. There's from year to year. Like if you're a guy like me, you want to jump on the latest model all the time. I'm a sucker for that. But just numbers wise, if people are that interested, they're writing this down: 35 axle to axle, 7-inch brace height, 50-pound limbs, 60-pound limbs. Don't go insane. That's a good all-around number. Like 60 pounds is what 60 pounds is the limit you're allowed to draw for a target setup. 60 pounds is lots for a hunting setup. Even 45, I think, is the legal draw weight for hunting. So I
got a 60-pound on mine, and arrow always goes through. I'm only shooting deer though, not moose or anything like that. You got that 70 there. You could probably like hammer a moose with that thing pretty easy.
Yeah, and if you're getting into hunting too, you got to be careful of what setup, what arrow, like what broadhead you're going to run. That's a whole, we could talk for 3 hours on broadhead selection. And a lot of guys on YouTube will say, this is the best, that's the best. It's really personal. It's personal preference, a lot of stuff. Like for target archery, we're going to shoot a great big thick arrow that's a line cutter. For outdoor archery, something skinny that's going to cut the wind, same as if you were going to shoot your .223 at 700, 800 yards, you're going to run a 90 grain bullet that's long and going to cut the wind. A hunting arrow is going to be skinny and heavy, better penetration. It depends on the application, but this bow I'm holding, or my target bow, will shoot every type of this sort of arrow. It's the same as a rifle. You can run different weights and different weights of ammunition through your rifle and at different powder charges, and you can play around with those. So it's pretty, most bows will shoot any brand of arrow depending on what type of shoot you want to go to, whether you want to shoot target or hunting, or that's not a huge issue.
Now, when if you get into competition shooting, I'm like, they would have requirements. Your bow has to meet these stats. Your arrows have to meet these stats. I assume there's like limitations depending on the game you're shooting.
Yes. Yeah. Like, so for you're only allowed to go 5 grains per pound for, like, if you were at a 3D shoot. Target arrows you're going to run a heavy target arrow. So for 3D guys, a lot of the time like to run a faster setup, because if you're guessing the distance of the animal, in front of you, the faster your bow is, the less you can, the more you can get away with if you're judging that distance. If I set my sights for 45 yards and the animal's 55 yards, I'm going to hit very low. But the faster that is, the less trajectory I'm going to have, right? The greater it's going to be. So, but you're only allowed 5 grains per pound. So they're going to weigh your arrow. So, I mean, put your arrow on a scale. If you're setting up a lightweight arrow or a lighter weight arrow, make sure so for every, if you have a 60-pound bow, you're allowed to run a 300 grain arrow, right? So, and then I think the math on that's right. Anyway, so yes, that's kind of, you have to know the rules and regulations of that. There's different diameter arrows for different shooting. For world archery is a 23 diameter arrow. Any of the US tournaments will allow you to shoot a 27 diameter arrow, like the arrows I just showed. One of them was a 23, one of them was a 27 diameter arrow. That's just the thickness of the arrow. I don't know if that applies in target shooting as much for pistol. The bigger the arrow, the more line cutters you're going to get inside, right? Outdoors, you don't want a great big arrow because it's going to hit the wind and you're going to be way all over the place. You want something long and heavy and skinny. And right. That's the kind of the same as a rifle shooting, I would imagine.
Yes, very much so. Adriel, you got any other questions for Christopher?
No, not really. I mean, it was a good overall discussion.
Yeah, I think so too. We can get into some other things on it, like even just like those different heads as well, and do that with hunting. I kind of actually want to do a whole.
Let's do another one on hunting.
Yeah,
we should.
This is like I'm excited about this.
I'm dropping a lot of information really fast. It's hard,
we can tell you're excited and you're showing off your toys and the information and you're right into it. So that's awesome to see.
It's hard to slow that down. And I don't know how long your podcasts normally run, but there's other people that are much better at explaining things like this than I am. I'm more of I'll show you with let me set up my bow and show you. I'm a lot worse at explaining it.
You're doing very well.
No, you're doing great.
Awesome.
We do have a question from Kyle. Kyle wants to know if you would recommend a different axle to axle based on a person's height.
Yeah, for sure. If I'm 6'2", I've always had better luck shooting a longer bow because I have a pretty long draw length. I shoot the drawback of the bow is I shoot a 30 and a half to 31 inch draw length. If you're shorter, normally if you're going to pick your draw length, you would do your wingspan divided by 2.5 is a ballpark to get you close. If you're shorter in stature, don't be shy to look into a bow that's a 35 inch axle to axle, or that's still pretty forgiving for a target setup or even a hunting situation. If you start to get too long of a hunting bow, if you're trying to get a bow that's good for all disciplines, for target and hunting and 3D and all things. If you start to get too long of a bow, it's really hard to move that around a ground blind or a tree stand or carry up and down or get to the woods with you. There's lots of target bows now that have shorter draw lengths. They're designed for there's lots of 36 inch, 34 inch draw length or axle to axle bows for women and for younger shooters too. So just go on any of the bow sites, PSE, Matthews, Hoyt, Elite, they all have different sizes. If you're a shorter person, at 6'2" and a 31 inch draw length, 40 inch axle to axle bow works awesome for me. If you're 5'10" and you're running like a 28 inch draw length, you might not want that long of a bow. You might be more comfortable with a shorter bow. But general rule of thumb, if you're going to shoot target archery, the longer the axle to axle, kind of unless you're a new shooter, unless you're like a 8 or 10 or 12. The longer the bow, the more forgiving it's going to be. And for hunting, the shorter the bow, the faster and the more penetration you're going to get. So,
and they're easier to fit into the blind, right? Easier to get into the blind and get your shot off. Because I always run into height problems and a lot of blinds just trying to fit my bow in there and get my shot off.
I missed the buck of a lifetime for that reason. I didn't get a shot. My bow was too high. I was hitting the side of my ground blind. It was just a nightmare. And that's when I went and bought a new hunting bow and I quit hunting. I used to hunt with my target bow a lot of the time. Trying to be cheap, I hunt with my target bow. So it was an experiment gone wrong. It was worth the $2,000. The next year I got my deer and I didn't, no issues, no cams caught in the top of the ground blind. So
awesome.
Great tool for the job.
Yeah. To answer the last question, really get a middle of the pack bow. If I were you, Kyle, I would shoot for like a 35 axle to axle bow. That would be, or a 34 axle to axle bow, 36. That would be ideal for hunting, 3D archery, target archery. This would be a good all around number. just something to shoot for.
We had a couple people ask if you ever did a Robin Hood.
If I ever did a Robin Hood?
Yeah.
Yes, not very often if I can help it because it's really expensive.
How much are the arrows? Like, seriously, they must be expensive too.
So we design arrows a lot of the time. Target archers will use an arrow design not to Robin Hood because what I'm holding with all set up and dressed, this is a $60 arrow. So I don't want to break that. I'm kind of cheap. So this knock will pop off. And if I can get it off, you see there's a pin right there on the end of that. See?
Okay. Yep.
Okay. See the pin? Yeah.
Yep.
So if another arrow hits that, it's going to hit that pin. It's not going to bust the back of the carbon of the arrow, and it has a collar on there, that little brass collar.
Yep.
You can see that protects it from another arrow going inside of another arrow. And we kind of set them up in target archery when they're trying to. At outdoor archery, you're shooting 6 arrows at a time into the same target. 3D archery, you're on groups of 4. Up to 3 or 4, so you're all shooting at that same little 10 ring, and everybody's trying to drive arrows. You alternate turns. The guy that goes first the first time would go second the next time, and then fourth guy would go second. Then they keep alternating. So indoors you shoot 3-spot individual targets because inside you can't wad 3 arrows into a ball like that. You go broke trying to shoot.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I have Robin Hooded arrows. And usually as soon as I Robin Hood an arrow, I kind of cry a little bit because I just lost $50. And that's when you spend another $20 or $30 and put pins in the back of your arrows.
Okay. Yeah. So, in other words, it's not all that great of a thing.
It's not. It's cool.
It's cool the first time, right?
It's normally in a 3D shoot is if you Robin Hood someone else's arrow and it's no good, they'll let you keep it, and then you hang that on your wall and you tease them about it for the next tournament. And that's normally if you're going to Robin Hood an arrow, don't make it your own. Make it someone else's. So,
all right.
Money,
you know,
that's a great way to end. I have nothing. There's no other comments or anything, but yeah, is there anything that you want to talk about that we didn't cover?
Thing you want to pitch?
Yeah.
Sponsors, gear.
I wish I had sponsors. I mean, I'll give a big shout out to Brian at the Atlantic Archery Center here in Fredericton. He's been super with me with equipment since I was 8 years old. I bought all of my bows from him. Anybody in Atlantic Canada that's wanting to get into archery, give Brian at Atlantic Archery and Paintball Center a call, or if you're into paintball guns, he sells paintball guns too. So, he's been super to me with all my equipment. That's where I get it. He uses me very well as far as calling the PSE company and saying, hey, I would like my new bow tomorrow. I've never gotten to that level of archery, but I would say for anybody just looking to get into archery, just don't be shy. Just go do it. It's a very friendly sport. Everybody, 99% of the people in archery are going to want to help you and want you to get into it and try to grow their sport versus hey, no, like I'm not interested. I just want to be here to shoot my bow. Most people will hang their bow up on the rack to get you interested in archery. I've been to countless shoots where I've seen guys' bows explode, and everybody, the guys on the target with that person they'll all pitch in, and everybody's trying to help you get a bow set back up. Even though it's competitive, I want to know that if I win, I beat you at your best and I was at my best if I beat you, or that you were at your best if you beat me. I don't want to beat you because your bow blew up. I want to beat you because you were on top of your game or I was on top of my game. Right.
Yeah.
That's everybody in archery is pretty much like that. And that's kind of why I really fell in love with the sport for competitive target archery. And I would say just don't shy out of it. Go try it and you'll probably really love it. It's going to cost you some money if you fall in love with it, but that's any sport.
Hey, it is.
Right. Yeah. So, but with this, you get to pull your arrows. You don't have to reload it. You can go pull them back out. So
that's awesome.
That's a big deal too.
Yeah, you can reuse them. Okay, so Trevor did not come on, and you like to actually rib him a little bit. Is there anything you want to say to him? Because he is going to listen to this.
To Trevor?
Yeah.
Good embarrassing
Suck it up, you pansy. I miss you. That's all I have to say to Trevor.
Nice.
No,
that's awesome.
I really owe all my archery success to Trevor, to be honest. So I hope you're feeling better, man. He's up in the high risk COVID area, so hopefully he's okay.
And he's old.
And he is old.
Yeah,
he is old. He looks like a biker on your Slamfire picture.
I know.
He couldn't. That's why he likes guns. He couldn't have that beard in archery. We get caught in his string. That's why he got into guns, maybe. I don't know. His beard meant that much to him, maybe.
Explains that bald spot he had that one time.
Yeah.
He's always had a bald spot since I was 8. Yeah. Poor guy.
It's grown this way. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Say hi to your dad for me.
I will. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Take care.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Meet you, Christopher. Have a good night.
Once again, thanks to Christopher for coming on and being, listen, truly one of the best interviews. Like, who would have thought that archery on a gun podcast would be? But it was awesome. I loved having him on.
They're great. Just guns that shoot knives.
They're very quiet guns.
Yeah, long pointy things.
Assassin guns.
Yes. All right. Anyways, but it was great to have him on. And as again, we keep saying it's like the 6 degrees of Trevor Bacon.
Trevor Bacon.
Bacon. See, I'm no longer a proletarian. I want bacon. Okay. Let's get into listener feedback. Listener feedback is sponsored by Armory DC Gunsmith. Armory DC Gunsmith is a full-service gunsmith who specializes in firearms refinishing. He offers hot bluing, parkerizing, Cerakote finishes, as well as wood and steel refinishing. Check him out. His online inventory of new used guns, firearms, accessories, optics, and more at dcgunsmith.ca. And you can also follow him on the Instagrams as well as on Facebook as well. And guess what? We had no Facebook. Well, we've been talking on Facebook as we go. We have no emails and no Patreons. We have no Instagrams. And we have no Facebook reviews. That was a quick section.
Nothing really. Oh.
Yeah. So anyways.
Well, thanks for coming out, everybody.
Yeah. We are looking for those emails for next week, though. So send us an email at slamfireradio@gmail.com. Patreon supporters, no news Patreon supporters, but if you'd like to support the show, by the way, Adriel is paying our bills this month. So thank you. This allows us to pay our bills so that we can continue doing the podcast. Anyways, go over to patreon.com, check out Slamfire Radio, and if you'd like to make a donation, we'd love to have you on board. We'll send you out some nice swag as well, or okay swag. Anyways.
Fabulous.
Okay. Very okay.
Nice upsell, Kelly. No. We'll send you a bag of crap. Whatever.
Maybe we should revisit that. Anyways, shout outs. What do you got, Dave?
Thanks to everybody who listened tonight, and thanks to Christopher for coming on and being a huge archery nerd. That was just fantastic. Yeah. I like how excited he got about it.
I know.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Adriel, what do you got?
Just all the guys at 3Gun helping to put the hours in and construct like wicked props. We did some work on our helicopter. We did some work on like all sorts of cool stuff that people in other clubs aren't even aware you can do. And I know that when a lot of clubs look at the style of matches we do, can't even imagine all the cool stuff we got. And it's all because people volunteer their time and go work and they're decent at carpentry and not like me. I'm a paper pusher and
you're pretty good with a Dremel. Let's be real.
Yeah,
I do a lot with it. I don't know if I'm good at it, but I do a lot with it. And those magazines that are coming in the mail will not survive.
Yeah. I do have a shout out. I just wanted to say thank you to actually Adriel. Adriel and I have been chatting late into the evening past couple of nights as well. So I wanted to say thank you for all the work that you've been doing with getting Maple Seed up and running and also on the show. And then I also wanted to say thank you to Lewis, who's Christopher's dad, for arranging us to have him on tonight. And then also to Christopher. He was a really fantastic interview. But not only that, I love the way he was talking. It reminds me of home. It was East Coast. Anyways.
Yeah.
Just reminds me.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of home. Anyways. So, yes, Dave?
Note on that, Kelly, since there's no good archery programs out there, I'm thinking AeroSeed.
Oh, jeez. That's just what we need. Something on top of that.
You need something else to do.
Yeah, no, I'm not an archer. and I don't do archery. So maybe we can find somebody else. Trevor, Adriel, and
I shoot
Christopher.
I shoot a deer every once in a while. That's all I do.
Okay.
But you hit them, so
sometimes.
All right, maybe we should talk about transferable skills. We got to have him on again. I want to talk to him about arrows. I want to talk to him about tips, but I want to talk about transferable skills from shooting to archery, because there is those too. Okay. Check out Gunners Canada. Go like us on Facebook. Give us a read on Facebook as well. Join the CCFR. Go and donate to them. And don't forget to actually send us an email with the pictures so that we can put you in that draw. And guess what, everybody? We'll see you next week. Happy 400. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.